You think you know where you're going, but life is always ready to surprise you. Route Calculated is a story about a meeting that changed everything. It all started that evening when I was coming back from my friend's place in a terrible mood. Of all things, Michael had to show up at Charlotte's birthday with his new girlfriend. Michael and I had broken up a month ago. His decision, and I still hadn't managed to forget him or get him out of my heart. Our relationship lasted over a year, and I was sure it was serious, that we were heading for marriage. And then out of the blue he told me he'd fallen in love with someone else. Michael was Charlotte's cousin, and Charlotte was my best friend, but she swore she hadn't invited him to her birthday. Daisy, I know it's not pleasant for you to see him. That's why I didn't invite him. But how was I supposed to know he'd just show up? And not only uninvited, but with that girl of his. Still, I couldn't just not let them in. You understand, he's my cousin. Besides, he brought flowers and a gift. I couldn't just take the gifts and slam the door in his face. My first instinct was to leave as soon as Michael arrived, but Charlotte convinced me to stay. If you leave now, he'll know you still care. Stay and act like nothing happened. Like you're just old acquaintances, nothing more. I decided to follow my friend's advice, though it was hard to see my ex, especially with his new girlfriend. Luckily, Michael and his date didn't stay long and left after about an hour. I stayed at Charlotte's until late and almost missed the last minibus home. I jumped in at the last moment. There were only 2 other passengers, and by the time I had to get off, I was the only one left. "Excuse me, miss." The driver, a handsome young man, addressed me. He'd noticed me as soon as I got on, watching me in the mirror, and when I was about to get off, he finally spoke. "Did you want something?" I asked, glancing at him. "Yes, your phone number," he smiled. "And I'd like to know your name." "Isn't that a bit much to ask from a stranger?" I snapped, in no mood to chat with a minibus driver. "I'd also like to invite you out, maybe to the movies," he replied, unfazed. "Why not propose marriage while you're at it?" I said rather rudely. "I could do that too," he grinned, ignoring my irritation. "But at least tell me your name first." "There won't be any first." I glared and got out. What a nerve, I thought, walking home from the stop. "Wait." I heard the now familiar voice behind me. I stopped and saw the same driver catching up. "What do you want from me?" I exclaimed. "Are you some kind of maniac?" "No, not at all. I'm just worried about you. It's late and you're walking home alone. You left your minibus just to walk me home?" "I didn't leave it. I parked a bit further and ran after you. Really, it's not safe for a girl to walk alone this late. Thanks for your concern, but it's unnecessary." I was still annoyed. He seemed too pushy, though he was actually quite attractive. "Why unnecessary?" he asked. "Are you that brave? Not afraid of anything or anyone?" "I am. I'm afraid of you," I almost shouted. "Leave me alone. The street's well lit, it's not even that late, and there are people around. So please just leave me alone, or I'll scream that a maniac is attacking me." "All right, I get it," he sighed. "No need to scream. Goodbye," I said nervously and hurried home, not knowing he watched me until I disappeared from view. At home, my mother was waiting. She immediately rushed to me as I entered. "Finally. I was so worried, and you weren't answering your phone." "Sorry, Mom, I turned off the sound. Telemarketers were driving me crazy today, so I didn't hear your call. You could have at least texted that you were okay and coming home. I worry it's dark out. I was about to call Charlotte to ask about you." "Sorry, Mom, I didn't mean to worry you. I'm going straight to bed, okay?" "All right, go. You look so down. You went out to have fun, but you came back sad. Did something happen?" "Someone ruined my mood. I'll tell you in the morning, I'm too tired now." "Okay, honey, get some sleep." Things will look better in the morning. She hugged me and went to her room. It was just the two of us at home. My father had passed away over 3 years ago in an accident. I just turned 25, graduated last year, and was working in my field. Once I reached my pillow, I let myself cry. Seeing Michael had reopened a wound that was just starting to heal. I remembered our romance, his declarations of love, our plans for the future. All empty words, it seemed. Words thrown to the wind. Maybe he never really loved me. Can love just disappear like that? Maybe we just weren't meant to be, but that didn't make it any easier. I was overwhelmed by hurt and jealousy. If I'd known what an unpleasant surprise awaited me at Charlotte's birthday, I'd never have gone. I even asked her about Michael, and she swore she wouldn't invite him. I wondered if Charlotte lied or if Michael really came uninvited. It didn't seem like him. In the morning, I told my mother what happened at the party. I never kept secrets from her. We were always close, and after my father's death, even more so. I understand, honey, it's not easy for you right now, my mother said after listening. But time will heal. How much more time do I need? Not much, I think. You're so young. You'll meet someone else and you'll forget all about Michael. Right now there's just an emptiness in your heart. And that emptiness can hurt too. She wiped away a tear, and I suddenly felt ashamed for being so down. My mother had it much harder. She lost her beloved husband of 30 years. Even after 3 years, she still hadn't fully recovered from that loss. They loved each other deeply, were inseparable. And I always dreamed of having a family like theirs. Mom, I'm sorry, I said, hugging her. I'm being selfish. No, darling, of course not. I'm glad you tell me everything about your feelings. Who else would you tell if not your mother? Everything will be all right. To change the subject, I told her about the persistent minibus driver. Some people are just like that, I complained. I made it clear I didn't want to get acquainted, but he kept insisting. Even wanted to walk me home. Maybe he really liked you, my mother said. Maybe you shouldn't have pushed him away. Or did you not like him at all? I don't know, I shrugged. Honestly, I didn't really get a good look at him. The light in the minibus was dim, and it was already dark outside. But he seemed okay, not scary at least. But I'm not ready for any new acquaintances right now. And how can I trust men after what happened with Michael? He said he loved me, we made plans, and then, bam! It was over. Oh honey, you're still so young. You'll meet your destiny, don't worry. What if my destiny just passes me by? That happens, right? No, it doesn't. Destiny never passes you by. My mother smiled. And by the way, when I met your father, I didn't like him at first either. But he was persistent and won me over. After that, I couldn't imagine my life without him. Really? I was surprised. I always thought first impressions were the most accurate, especially in love. If you don't like a man at first sight, you probably never will. Life is unpredictable, honey. Sometimes things happen that you'd never see in a movie. Don't be sad, and remember, if someone disappears from your life, they just weren't meant for you. The right person will never leave or betray you. Thank you, Mom. I'm so glad I have you, I said, hugging her, feeling like a little girl again, running to her mother to share her joys or childhood sorrows that once seemed like huge tragedies. With Mom, I always felt warm and safe. 6 months passed. I hardly thought about Michael anymore, and when I occasionally heard about him from Charlotte, I realized it didn't hurt. But I wasn't in a hurry to start a new relationship, even though my friends kept trying to set me up. Maybe I was afraid of getting hurt again, or maybe the right person just hadn't appeared on my horizon yet. I often took the same minibus home from work, the one whose driver once tried to get to know me. Every time I got on, I caught myself hoping to see him, the guy who'd shown such persistent interest. Looking back, I realized I'd been wrong that night. I hadn't behaved well. I'd been rude to someone who'd done nothing wrong, who had actually shown care and just wanted to walk me home. I was upset and angry at Michael, and I ended up taking out my bad mood on someone who had nothing to do with my problems and certainly didn't deserve my rudeness. I wanted to see that driver again to apologize, but fate hadn't given me the chance. At some point I realized our paths probably wouldn't cross again, and he'd always remember me as that rude, angry girl. Though most likely he'd already forgotten. Lately, I noticed that my mother was looking much better. She'd changed her hairstyle and hair color, bought a couple of new dresses, and most importantly, there was a sparkle in her eyes I hadn't seen in a long time, not since my father passed away. "Mom, tell me what's going on?" I asked one day, seeing her fussing in front of the mirror, getting ready to go out. "Is something going on?" she replied, a little embarrassed. "Come on, I'm not blind, you're glowing. And all these changes. Are you in love?" "Oh, honey, I never thought this would happen to me. You know how much I loved your father and how much I missed him." "Mom, it's been almost 4 years. You're still young and a wonderful woman. So who is he? Where did you meet?" "Remember, 3 months ago I was supposed to go to the theater with a friend?" "Of course. You came home late, and I'd already gone to bed. I forgot to ask why you were so late." "Well, at the last minute, Natalia's plans changed and she couldn't go, so she gave her ticket to her single neighbor. At first, I was upset to be sitting next to a stranger, but he turned out to be a very pleasant man. We talked during intermission, had dinner after the show, and since then we've been seeing each other sometimes." "Mom, why didn't you tell me sooner? Why keep it a secret?" "Oh, honey, at first I didn't think anything would come of it, and then I worried about how you'd take it if you'd think I was betraying your father." "Mom, I'm not a child, I understand. You have every right to be happy. I'm only glad for you. And honestly, it's wonderful to see you so happy. I'm sure Dad would want you to be happy too. Will you introduce me to your admirer?" "What's his name?" "Frederick." "Yes, I think it's time you met. How about I invite him for lunch on Sunday? Do you have any plans?" "No plans, so let's do it." "Mom, I'm so happy for you," I exclaimed, hugging her. Mother was terribly nervous as we prepared snacks and set the table. I tried to cheer her up. "Mom, really? You're as nervous as a schoolgirl introducing her boyfriend to strict parents." "Oh, I don't know why I'm so nervous." At the appointed time, the doorbell rang and Mom hurried to open it. "Meet Frederick, and this is my daughter Daisy," she said, coming back into the room with a tall, silver-haired man holding 2 bouquets. "Oh," Frederick exclaimed. "These are for you. You look just like your mother. Such a beauty." He handed me a bouquet of white roses, and the red ones to my mother. "Thank you," I smiled. "I'm very glad to meet you." "Let's sit down," Mom said. "We'll start with appetizers. Then I'll bring the main course. Daisy and I cook so much, Frederick, I hope you're hungry." "Oh, I'm such a fool," Frederick suddenly said, slapping his forehead. "What happened?" Mom and I asked in unison. "I bought a cake and left it in the car. Let me call my nephew who drove me. Maybe he hasn't left yet. I knew I'd forget it if I left it on the back seat." He stepped into the hallway to get his phone and make the call. A couple of minutes later he returned. "Sorry, ladies, for the mix-up. I called Alex, he'll bring the cake up. The seller said it's delicious. And I'm lucky to have such a nephew. Anyone else would be annoyed, but Alex said, 'No problem, Uncle Frederick.' Maybe Alex should have lunch with us?" Mom suggested. "It feels wrong to make him run errands for us. He probably won't stay. He has important plans today, but I'll ask." About 10 minutes later, the doorbell rang. Frederick started to get up, but I stopped him. Sit, I'll open the door. And I'll invite your nephew to join us. It really is a bit awkward. That's a good idea, Frederick agreed. Maybe when he sees such a beautiful girl, Alex won't refuse to join us, even with all his plans. I opened the door and couldn't believe my eyes. Standing there was the very same minibus driver I'd once been rude to in a bad mood. It's you, Alex and I exclaimed at the same time, both surprised, and then we both laughed. What's going on out here? Mom asked, peeking into the hallway, where Alex and I had already been chatting for 15 minutes like old friends, forgetting we were being waited on. Looks like they've hit it off, Frederick said, following Mom out of the room. It's not our first meeting, I said, smiling. We didn't get to know each other the first time, but now we've fixed that, Alex added. Well, let's eat then. We have to celebrate this, Mom smiled. I'll put the cake in the fridge for now. Alex, will you stay for lunch? Or do you have urgent plans? No urgent plans anymore, Alex replied, glancing at me. I followed Mom to the kitchen and whispered that Alex was the minibus driver who tried so hard to get to know me. It turns out he works somewhere else and studies part-time at the university. That day, he was just helping out a sick friend who's a driver, so we never crossed paths again. That's how life is, honey. Mom hugged me. And I have a feeling you won't refuse to get to know him this time. He's a very nice young man, don't you think? I do now, I smiled. And you were right. Not everyone makes a good impression at first sight. But sometimes at second sight. Lunch was surprisingly fun. Alex turned out to be not only charming but also had a great sense of humor. He kept us laughing, and Mom and Frederick were so cheerful that, for the first time in a long while, I felt real warmth at home. Daisy, do you often take minibuses? Maybe I should change jobs and become your personal driver. Alex joked. Only if you have a license for especially picky passengers. I winked. I even have a certificate. Alex replied. Just make sure it's not expired, I teased. No, I renew it every year. Mom and Frederick exchanged glances and seemed to decide to give us some privacy, heading to the kitchen to check on the kettle. Alex leaned closer and said quietly, I'm glad we met again. That night, I thought I'd never see you again. But here we are, fate. I'm glad too, I admitted. And honestly, I was wrong that night. Sorry for being rude. It's all forgotten, he smiled. But if you want to make it up to me, you can share that cake. Or go to the movies with me. I promise no minibuses. Deal, I replied. At that moment, Mom returned from the kitchen and, seeing our smiles, nodded to Frederick. Well, Frederick, looks like we have a double celebration today? Seems so, Mother, he replied. So, kids, who wants seconds? Or have you already decided who's walking whom home? Don't worry, Mom, I'm under reliable protection now, I said, glancing at Alex. That's right, he chimed in. I'm not just a driver now, but a bodyguard. Comes with a sense of humor and free rides home. Frederick laughed. Just make sure the ride isn't an express through every puddle in the city. Don't worry, Alex assured. I'll even avoid the puddles now. And if anything, I'm sure Daisy can teach me how to steer clear of trouble. After lunch, Alex and I went out to the balcony, supposedly for fresh air, but really just to talk alone. The evening was warm, the city lights twinkled, and I realized I hadn't felt so alive in a long time. So, Daisy, Alex began, leaning on the railing. If someone had told me a year ago I'd be having tea with a girl who once called me a maniac, I wouldn't have believed it. And if someone had told me I'd be standing on a balcony with a minibus driver who turned out to be my mom's friend's nephew, I laughed. I'd have thought it was a joke. We stood there for a long time talking about everything and nothing. The city outside seemed especially cozy, and the conversation was so easy, as if we'd known each other forever. Alex told stories from his life. I laughed, sometimes too loudly, and realized I didn't want the evening to end. You know, he said suddenly, I always thought chance encounters were just coincidences. But now, standing here with you, I realize that sometimes life arranges these coincidences on purpose, to shake us up and remind us that everything is just beginning. At that moment, the balcony door swung open and my mother appeared. She looked a bit anxious and even a little confused. Daisy, she said, Michael is here. He says he has some news and really wants to talk to you. I didn't know what to do, so well, he's in the hallway now. I felt a knot tighten inside me. Alex raised his eyebrows in surprise, but then smiled. Well, that's a twist. Looks like you're having an open house tonight. I laughed nervously, trying to hide my anxiety. Seems like today is a day for meetings with both the past and the future. I wonder what's so important Michael wants to tell me. Alex gently touched my hand. If you want, I can stay close by. I smiled at him gratefully. Thank you, but I think I can handle it myself. I took a deep breath and went into the hallway. Michael was standing by the mirror, as impeccably dressed as ever, but this time clearly nervous. He smiled when he saw me, but his smile was uncertain. Hi, Daisy, he said, clutching an envelope in his hands. Sorry for dropping by unannounced. I need your help. I looked at him in surprise. My help? With what? Charlotte's birthday is coming up, Michael said quickly. She wants something really special and you know I'm hopeless at this stuff. But you always made magic happen. Please help me organize everything. At that moment, Alex appeared in the doorway. He crossed his arms and, with a hint of irony, asked, So, only Daisy can save the day? Michael glanced at him but ignored the comment. Daisy knows Charlotte better than anyone. She's always made her parties special. I could feel Alex tense up beside me. He clearly didn't trust Michael and watched him with suspicion, as if Michael had some hidden agenda. Listen, Alex whispered to me when Michael turned away. Are you sure this isn't just an excuse to see you? If I were him, I'd come up with something more original. I smiled, trying to lighten the mood. Don't worry, Alex. I'm just helping with the party. Besides, Charlotte is my friend. I can't let her down. Alex sighed but nodded. All right, if you say so, he replied dryly. I turned to Michael. Okay, I'll help. Let's talk about what you've already planned and what still needs to be done. Michael visibly relaxed and even smiled genuinely. Thank you, Daisy. I knew I could count on you. Alex, realizing the conversation would continue, quietly whispered in my ear. I'll head out. I don't want to get in the way of your secret mission. Call me if you need help blowing up 100 balloons. I smiled at him gratefully, but inside I felt a slight unease. Alex left, tossing Michael a short but meaningful good luck on his way out. Michael nodded, pretending not to notice the subtext. Michael and I sat at the kitchen table, spread out our notebooks and phones, and started brainstorming ideas for the party. 2 weeks flew by unnoticed. I helped with decorations, made guest lists, planned games and music. We went shopping together, picked out garlands, argued about balloon colors, and laughed at silly souvenirs. Gradually, a light, almost forgotten sense of friendly closeness grew between us. I found myself enjoying our time together, as friends with whom you can argue, laugh, and reminisce about funny stories from the past. Michael seemed happy too. He joked and teased me, but I didn't read into it. I thought we were just glad to be on the same wavelength again, but without any old feelings. The day before the party, we stayed late at my place, discussing the final details. I leaned over to grab my phone, which was behind Michael, And at that moment he reached for me and kissed me. I jerked back, almost dropping my phone. "Michael, what are you doing?" I asked, startled. He looked embarrassed but tried to smile. "Sorry, I thought things were like before between us." "Michael," I said firmly, "there's nothing between us anymore. I helped you because you're my friend's brother, and because I really wanted to make Charlotte's birthday special. But I don't have those feelings for you anymore. And I never will." Michael stood there for a few seconds, as if he couldn't believe it was really that simple and final. But then he said, "I understand, Daisy. I'm sorry. I made it all up in my head. And thank you for helping with the party. You really do know how to make people happy." He left quietly, without slamming the door or saying anything hurtful. He just slipped out of my life as quietly as he had once entered it. The next day, we celebrated Charlotte's birthday. The party was surprisingly warm and fun. She was glowing with happiness, hugging me and whispering, "Daisy, you're a magician. I never even dreamed of a birthday like this." I laughed, took photos of the guests, helped serve the cake, and realized I felt light and at peace. Michael behaved with dignity, didn't try to talk to me alone, and even seemed genuinely happy for his sister. When the party was winding down, I stepped outside for some fresh air. At that moment, a familiar minibus pulled up, and out stepped Alex, with a bouquet of daisies and his signature smile. "So, is the party mission accomplished?" he asked, handing me the flowers. "Mission accomplished," I smiled. "And I think it was a big success." "Then allow me to take you home, Daisy," Alex said ceremoniously. "Tonight, I'm your personal driver, bodyguard, and if needed, the keeper of the key to your heart." I laughed and, without hesitation, got into the car. I didn't look back anymore, didn't search for answers in the past, and didn't wait for miracles, because the miracle was already right beside me. Sometimes it seems like our lives follow a preset route: home, work, familiar faces, and routines. But all it takes is one chance meeting to change everything. Such encounters can start a new story, change your perspective, bring unexpected emotions, or even turn your whole life around. We rarely realize how much in our lives depends on chance, until we look back and see how one meeting changed everything. Have you ever had moments like that? Share your stories about chance encounters that became turning points in your life in the comments. Like this post if you believe that fate can surprise you, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. There are many more inspiring stories ahead.